Good morning, friends. Good morning, Judy. Hey, Donna. Good morning to you. Hey, Judy and Jack. How are you? I hope you're well. Irene, good morning. Good to see you. I hope all the life is bringing you is full. Hey, good morning. Good morning, friends. How are you today? I hope everybody's doing well. As we're coming into this new season, it's beautiful out today here, and I hope it is where you are. We just finished up the vet's lunch. Oh, yeah, I was going to try and pop in afterwards, but I have a memorial this afternoon, so I'm going to try and swing by. I didn't get a chance to see you this morning. It's such a great ministry. So Judy and Edie and Cindy and a few others, they all contribute to go down once a month and make 30 or 40 of our veterans here in town that come to the Veterans Center that are many of them struggling. They offer them lunch. And it's not just the fact that they're struggling, but it's this opportunity to gather that community, which so desperately needs to gather to not only heal themselves, but to heal the world. And it's such a beautiful little ministry that they all have going. I missed a great chicken dinner. Oh, man. So, Daddy likes chicken. So, yeah, well, but and a great card. Oh, terrific. Good. Yeah, and that was one of the gifts of that time is we had the chance to is that we have our congregation fill out little welcome cards for those veterans that they might have an encouragement through the day and have an opportunity to share our love with and for them so that they know that they don't journey alone in their days. Another one of the incredible graces of what it is to journey with First Congregational Church and all the incredible work that happens and just it's a privilege just for me to get to lift it up and the hands and the grace that you all bring to that is really wonderful. So. Well, good morning, everybody. I am so glad you're here, and we are in our sanctuary this morning, so welcome. On this, the 7th day of October. The first week of October is down, friends, that we are the 7th day of October on this Thursday at 11:11, and I am so glad you're here, and you're a part of our journey, and you are witnessing with us. For a number of years after I got out of college, I spent time fishing. I worked on fishing boats and mostly diving, but doing different things. And I was a fisherman named Andrew. You'd think I'd have figured it out, this call to ministry thing sooner. But I had this chance and this opportunity to go lobstering one season. So we started in the spring and we lobstered all through the summer and went. And it was just about this time of year, which is actually a really productive time of year for lobsters in the coast of Maine. And we would get up early and work all day because lobstermen will. And the guy I was going stern for in those days, he just had this. He got frustrated one day. He says, "Man, this time of year, no matter where you look, the sun is in your eyes." And it always struck me because sometimes I'm oblivious to these things. I've got that, I don't know, that preacher spiritual world thing going sometimes, and I'm not always connected but to what's happening around. But I realized that as we were getting into the fall months, as we were getting into this later time, as we were coming into the dying time, that the sun wasn't high over the horizon as it had been through our summer months, and that it wasn't high overhead, and so that and now it really was true that the sun would kind of come up and then kind of go laterally along the horizon and then go down, and no matter where you looked, there really was this experience of the sun always being in your eyes. It is when Jesus speaks of himself and speaks of what it is for us to be in journeying on this path of faith, he often speaks of this phrase that I am the light of the world, or that the light has come into the world and people do not see it, or the invitation for us to let our light shine, to not put our light that burns and place it under a bushel basket, but to place it on a pedestal and to let it shine in the world. This week it's really become a noticing to me that there is this light that is kind of getting in our eyes these days. We are entering this time of the year where the sun hangs lower in the trees. And in that the shadows are longer, there is a beauty in it that we won't find in other times of years. There is a richness to the textures and the beauty of the light. And I'm reminded that we're consistently tempted to consider the dying of the light, to consider the lowering of the sun on the horizon, or to consider the contraction of our own hearts and our own lives and our own difficulty, to look around in the world and just see the coming darkness that seems to be around us. And I'm not talking just about what you're going to find, in the newspapers or in on your Apple News feed. I'm talking about just our own journeying through life and through the lengthening of our days. That every day down is a day closer to home. Every day down is a day where we journey a little closer to the horseman that will one day bring us home. Every day down is this, and I don't mean to say this to kind of be depressive. I say this to say it's just true. It's just true. There's just a lengthening of all of our days, and no matter where you are, whether you're 10 or 90, it's always coming to be true as we move through this time and this life. And that when we come to this season, when we come to this October time, we come to this time when we first notice that, boy, the sun isn't quite so high in the sky as it used to be, and it afflicts us a bit, doesn't it? It offers us this sense of like just the sun getting in our eyes, that it is closer in its closeness to the horizon, that it's not where we might like it to be. I brought us into the sanctuary today because it reminds me of a great medieval story of our journeying through this world in a way that what we might understand. Because one of the things, even though the sun now in our sanctuary faces east, so right now the sun is to my right over here, but later in the day, you will find these windows right now that are pretty sublime and pretty subdued will come to life. So if you ever have the chance to be in our sanctuary in the afternoon, take it and do it, because you will find that every hour and every moment, what you see and what you experience will change. The golds in the top will begin to pop. Then there are reds that you can barely probably see right now. There are greens that will flash to life. There are blues that will come and soothe your soul. That all of these colors that are portrayed in these little geometric patterns up here, they're not just pretty. It's not just but it's not just nice, but it is an invitation to us in the remembrance of the hearkening darkness that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it. That the lamp that we are called to burn in this world is set upon the lampstand, and it is called to burn brightly. That there is beauty and grace even in the lowering and the hearkening of the dying time of our days. There's a famous story, one of the most famous medieval sermons ever preached, and it was preached without many words at all. That an anonymous monk, it's lost to the ages who it was, but said that he was going to preach a sermon on God's love, and he told everybody in the village and everybody and all the people in the city, and people came, and instead of finding his way into the pulpit, he continued to sit in the late afternoon sun. And just there, as here, their sanctuary faced east as well. And in the setting sun and in the lowing light, the stained glass windows of that medieval cathedral, which were honestly probably the most vibrant colors any human being had ever seen in those days, that brought to life and light things and images and thoughts and stories that people had never encountered, began to glow and dance in the lowering light of day. And that he sat silently in the midst of that setting sun, and that story being told of the light shining through the stained glass and bringing beauty to the world. You see, then that monk didn't tell everybody to go home, but then as they sat in darkness. Now remember, this is a cathedral without electric light, without a world without electric light, that the very gloaming of the night sky was all that they had to illuminate through the little bits of the world in which they had, that they sat in sheer darkness. He lit a candle and walked to the crucifix at the front of the church and held the light to the wounds of Christ. We are not of a tradition that carries the crucifix in our worship space. But in those days, he held the light to the feet of Christ for a minute, for 2 minutes, for seemingly forever. And then he moved up and held the light to the hands of Christ. And he waited minutes. And he moved the light to the spear side of Christ and illuminated in all the darkness the wounds of Jesus on Jesus' side. And he moved the candle to the crown of thorns and waited. And in darkness, all the whole congregation could see was but the thorns in the face of that crucifix upon the wall. And he set down the candle, and he offered the benediction and the blessing to all who had arrived, and he sent them into the darkness of that night. That is perhaps the most storied, most known, most recorded sermon of all of the medieval world. It is famous, this sermon on love, because it began not with words, not with expression, but it began with the colors of creation shining through the stained glass of that cathedral and coming to illuminate the very wounds of Christ, the way in which Christ came into this world to not only experience the world, but to touch and to heal all that was created and all that was touched and all that was wounded. That no matter what the darkness might prompt you and I to do, however we might be called to wound one another, no matter how we might be called to wound the world, no matter how we might be called, which, by the way, in the grand understanding of things is only the wounding of Christ again and again when we make our own pithy declarations to the world about how we are right or correct or that we use violence or we use loss or all those places where we just screw it up. All of that. That Christ bears all that. And not just bears it as a scapegoat, but carries it for us. But it carries the heaviest loads of our life, the most difficult of things, and shines through, as we always talk about with the stained glass, shines through the dirtiness of our life to illuminate the beauty of our life. To be that we are truly and utterly gorgeous when God's love is at work, shining through our own shortcomings. We're entering an age, we're entering a season where the light might be always in our eyes, where it's annoying sometimes, where the lowering of the sun in the trees prevents us maybe from doing our work. But today I want you to remember, as we enter this age, as we enter this time, as we enter this season, that the light that will shine through you and me, the light that has come into the world and that the darkness has not overcome it, will shine through these imperfect vessels, will shine through light of that is born in woundedness, that's born in brokenness, that's born in us just not getting it right. And all of that is not in spite of us. It's not just like, oh, I guess I'll throw you a cookie just 'cause. It is because of us that God comes and bears the hard things of the world, that picks up the heavy load that you and I struggle to carry, that shoulders the burdens of grief, of loss, of pain, of shame, of inadequacy, of brokenness, all of it, and carries it in those wounds that monk illuminated so many years ago with his little candle to declare to people literally in darkness that a great light came to the world and loves them. Loves them not just in their moments of bright, shiny happiness. Loves them not in their moments of getting it right. Loves them not just in their moments of honorableness or admirationalness. It's not even a word. But loves them through their whole being and their whole way, and invites them to step into the darkness of their lives, bearing the light that shines through them, bearing the light that Christ has given them, bearing the light that Christ first bore for you and me into this world. You see, friends, that's the great invitation of these days. That's the great invitation of what it is to try and do our work and have the sun in our eyes. That's the invitation of understanding that these blues and greens and reds behind me that will come to life in the afternoon sun today do so because they tell the story of the one who illuminates my inadequacy, my finiteness, my shortcomings, my littleness, and makes it brilliant and beautiful and true and gorgeous in this world. My hope for each one of you is that you'll step into the light of these days, that you'll step into the just notice that maybe the light, maybe the sun is hanging a little lower in the sky, And just knowing that we are heading towards this darkness, towards this dying time, towards this what will inevitably be this winter season. And know that no matter the coming cold, no matter the difficulties of your days, no matter if you find it hard to do your work, because the light is in your eyes, that the very light of your life is the one who made you and calls to you in Christ Jesus. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. I just wanted to share our space a little more on this day as we look towards a world with beauty and the wavelengths of grace that are hitting our face and our eyeballs and being brought to light and beauty in our being. Okay, friends, that's my hope for you today. It is that we will pick up another 11:11 on Tuesday. This Sunday we're having communion this Sunday. If you don't know, last week we did our blessing of the animals service, and it was more than we were able to negotiate. So we shifted this week to being the Holy Supper. So 10 o'clock on Sunday, we are graced with the opportunity to come and feast at the Lord's table. 9:15 we begin. We have our adult study, and we have our Sunday school for our older kids will begin, and we invite you to 10 o'clock for our younger kids and all of our worship events. Come and journey with us, friends. Come and be a part of First Congregational Church and our life here. Come and be a part of the light that shines in the world, and the darkness has not overcome it. Peace and grace, my friends.